Oh, what's good, Josh? Your boy J Suave. I'm the host of J Suave TV. My boy Demarcus here, longtime subscriber to the channel, dropped this comment under my last video. The one where I spoke on the fact that Tommy going back to New York is absolutely dumb. If you haven't seen that one yet, this is the thumbnail for it on YouTube. Go ahead and tap in right quick. For my TikTok viewers, this is literally the video before this one comes out. So, just swipe down, you should see. In this comment, he provides a very interesting scenario. That sounds crazy, but honestly, with what a lot of these power riders be pulling off sometimes, might not be that far-fetched. He says here, it would be interesting if the Italians got Tariq to bring Tommy back to New York to crucify Tommy for the death of Proctor and Benny and OG Power. I thought it would be interesting enough to make a what-if video on if this were the case. Now, me personally, I do not believe in this theory that Demarcus cooked up. With respect to the comment, it could definitely still go down. You can never rule anything out in the power universe, but here's a couple reasons why I don't think it will come to fruition. For starters, I believe the Sevilla mob is one of the most thorough groups that we've seen integrated in the power franchise. Yes, they got mowed down in OG Power to where it's really just Carlo and Elisa, along with, I think, her mom left or her aunt. I'm not really sure who that relative is. There's probably more members of the mob. We just haven't met them yet. But in the later seasons of Power, the mob was a force that wasn't to be played with. With that said, I don't see them enlisting the help of Tariq because, one, he was a part of that crime with Tommy hitting Proctor. He literally left the back door open for Uncle Tommy to enter that apartment to take out Proctor. And I think that they would know this information because Elisa Marie potentially overheard this conversation before her and Tariq went out to get ice cream. Now, with this knowledge, I do still think that they would enlist the help of Tariq because obviously Tommy is his uncle. There's nobody in New York at this point that Tommy would want to get next to outside of Tariq. But I do think that they would have to send a liaison down with Tariq. It wouldn't just be a Tariq move, which they probably still could have done. They wouldn't have wanted to be something in plain sight. They'd been watching Tariq's moves with Tommy throughout the end of 4. They could be following them back to New York right now. I also feel like if they were going to execute this plot, this would be something that was included in the Force finale. I personally don't think that they'll wait for Legacy to come before showing us that Tariq was plotting with the Italians this whole time, because that's something that is introduced in the first episode of Legacy, right? What's the point of holding out on the fact that Tariq and the mob are connected and are in cahoots to take out Tommy? That just don't make no sense. On top of that, it's a real bad look on Tariq's part if things were to actually go down in this way. They have to strip him of his King of New York title instantly if this was the case. Getting told what to do by the Italians? The same Italians that have not shown up in power since the OG series years ago, half a decade ago. This card gotta get revoked ASAP for this. That's instant character regression, and I honestly don't see how Tariq's character will come back from that. The last reason I don't feel like it's gonna work is because Legacy, at least this first season, is supposed to follow Tariq and Tommy. So if you kill off Tommy in like the first episode, then that just completely erases the premise of Legacy. Also, I just think at the very beginning of the series or at the end of Force, that would be completely unceremonious Tommy's character to go out like that. As I've said before, I do still think Tommy will get taken out by the mob in the future. Perhaps Elisa Marie herself putting the bullet in bro's head. At the beginning of this series, a little too soon for that. Overall, I'm not really agreeing with this comment right here, but let's say, what if scenario things actually did play out like this? That Tariq was punked out by the mob. He went to Chicago to secure Tommy so that they could take him out for waited to Proctor and Benny. How do I think things would play out from here? Well, I'm gonna get into that in this video. Like the thing I say, any you already know what you gotta do. Go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, follow if you want TikTok. Let's get right into it because it shouldn't be a long one. Now, if y'all remember, this is Carlos Sevilla right here. Obviously a Sevilla mob associate. I could see him being the one to run up on Tariq in this scenario, asking him for the whereabouts of Uncle Tommy. I'm not sure if this is accurate or not, but I just looked it up when I was looking up his character. Apparently, Tommy looked the other way when he was about to approach him in OG Power. So this is not no regular character. This is somebody that has status in the mob. I would not be surprised if he was able to persuade this version of Tariq to going after Tommy. And the way he would do this is by severely crippling Tariq's operation in New York. The mob has been radio silent since OG Power, and I would not be surprised if they were staking things out, seeing all the moves Tariq is making and waiting for their right opportune time to come out and make them in. They probably saw Tommy come back to New York not once, but twice, so they know that bro is still alive. We're just waiting on the right moment to strike. In this scenario, this is that moment. One by one, Tariq could see the empire that he spent some months, probably some weeks building, falling apart right before his eyes, before learning that it was a Sevilla mob that was the reason behind all this. At that point, on his quest for power, he's like, I gotta turn my uncle in. I didn't even want to be a part of the Proctor here for real. And they got my organization by the balls right now. I don't know if I could trust Uncle Tommy like that. When the time comes, I'm gonna have to go ahead and grab him and let him do what they do. Like I said, this was severely crippled Tariq's character in a lot of viewers' eyes. But if we're being for real, is this not something that Tariq would do? It's already some viewers right now that saw that Power Book 4 Force finale still thinking that Tariq has some ulterior motives in terms of what work he wants to do with Tommy. We still don't know the full story of exactly what's going on with his business at this point in time. So really, anything could be happening right now. Like, Tariq did not give Tommy a full rundown of what's happening at all, at least for our eyes to see. From what we know about Tariq, who's to say that once Tommy gets taken out, he doesn't use that situation to his advantage to get back on top? all I'm saying. And lo and behold, Tommy calls Tariq by the end of Power Book 2 Go, which I think all of us would say a significant amount of time probably passed between what we saw by the end of Go and what we seen in that post-credit scene for Go. In this call, Tommy's asking him for help, obviously dealing with everything going on in Chicago. Tariq pulls up and then saves his life. Then proposes they go ahead and work together, which, as I said before, is no benefit to Tommy at all. He decides, you know what? My nephew just came and saved my life. I miss home. Let me go back. I got things set up in Chicago already. I don't really got too much to worry about, except you do, Uncle Tommy. You got Elisa Marie and the Sevilla mob to worry about. If things were to go down like this, like I said, I think that it would go down by the end of Power Book 4 Force and we'd be left on a huge cliffhanger. We probably get some type of D-Mac spinoff. Don't gotta be a whole 10-episode season. It could be a mini-series where we have him get like a little training arc. He address everything that he has to do in Chicago. Be under the wing of Miguel and Shanti before learning the news that Tommy is in a precarious situation in New York, which would possibly have him, Shanti, and or Miguel go up to New York in order to save Tommy. Like this would be a great time for D-Mac to really learn who Tariq is and understand that he's somebody who can never be trusted all the way. I can also see this blown up into one of the biggest wars that we've seen in the Power franchise. Also, I didn't mention this, but the way that D-Mac and them would find out something's wrong with Tommy or Tommy's in a precarious situation would be through Maria, Tommy's baby mom. Before all this happened, Tommy got first class flights out to New York unbeknownst to Tariq, so they are in the city. But they're on a terrible time limit right now because Tariq already knows from the conversation that Tommy and him had on the rooftop that he is expected. And yes, while he doesn't know who Maria is, Tariq still has the network in New York. Now that he's brought Tommy back to the Sevilla family, let's just say they stopped dangling Tariq's operation as much as they were, and they just asked for some kind of cut. Even if Tariq works for the mob, that doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't have his own operation that he's running. He would just be under the mob for the time being, which obviously we know Tariq would not go for a long term. If he's gonna turn Tommy into the mob anyway, you might as well finish off Maria and his baby too. Like I said, the actions that this version of Tariq is taking, I can definitely see Tariq pulling off any and all of these moves. Much as he has grown, Tariq is still in the same opportunistic, advantageous brat that he was in OG Power. Let's keep it a step. Now, in terms of how the war in New York would go after all this goes down, I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts right there. I can't make a what if for all that. One thing I do think would happen is that Tommy would end up dead. Not immediately, but at some point during the Chicago-New York War for everything that he's done to the Sevilla family. Amongst other things, Tommy's run and the Power Universe would end. And I do think Tariq ends up catching a bullet from D-Mac, returning his uncle, and then he would become the main character of the Power Universe from there, I guess. It'd be a new saga in the Power Universe on some MCU stuff. D-Mac as our new main character going forward. Imagine that. Everything he's learned, all the betrayal that he's seen over time. My son is going to be a real menace in the future of Power. There's a lot of growing pains there that once he gets over, it's going to be a real problem. I'm trying to tell you. Yeah, man, I really like this theory. I just wanted to come on here and yap about it real quick. I'm a huge sucker for anything related to the Italian mob in the Power Universe. Just because I'm itching to see the reunion between these two. And I know that once it goes down, the mob is going to be on a completely different footing than they have been for half a decade now. Y'all leave in the comments, what do y'all think about Demarcus' theory? What do y'all think about my what if for that theory? I've been your host, Jay Swaff. You've been entertained, and we're going to talk soon. Peace out. Also, I wanted to speak on this because I didn't really do that throughout the video. If the mob were to flat out crucify Tommy either at the end of 4 or at the beginning of Legacy, I still see Tariq just being under the mob at that point, which is not ideal for Tariq, but again, it's just a what if. Tariq would never go for any of this if we be honest. He uses his big brain to figure out another way out of this because he's not going to be under anybody anymore. He didn't do all this work in New York just to refer to somebody else. But if this were to go down, I could just personally see them keeping Tommy alive, or so then immediately going and take him out because 1, Tommy's the main character, and 2, an alive Tommy is more motivation for Chicago, New York war plotline than a dead Tommy in my opinion. So those are just my thoughts. Don't take this too serious. It's just a little what if, but like I said, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you want me to cook more of these up while you at it.